Welcome to my lecture on multicast routing. Multicast routing is part of your fourth unit and it is the sixth topic in your fourth unit. Now let us see what routing is. Routing is a process used for sending data between the source node and the destination node. It is the path chosen to send the data from the source node and to the destination node. Now let's begin with your multicast routing. Multicast routing is a technology where you can have more than one destination nodes. So consider the first example towards the right hand side. You have one source node colored in green color, source 1, and then you have four destination nodes, destination 1, 2, 3, 4, also named as R1 receiver, R2, R3 and R4. This is the example of one is to many multicast routing where you have one source node and you have many destination nodes. Then let us take the second example towards the right hand side. It involves two source nodes S1, S2 and it involves three receiver nodes R1, R2, R3. It is an example of MS to M multicast routing where you have more than one senders and you have more than one receivers. So both kind of multicast routing protocol is possible. Now what is the difference between multicast routing and unicast routing? Now unicast routing you can only use in a network where you have only one sender node and one receiver node. If you want to send data to more than one receiver node, then you cannot go for unicast routing. Then what is the difference between unicast routing and broadcast routing? Broadcast routing is nothing but where a sender will be sending the same data to every node. That is, it sends data to all the nodes present in the network. Now that is not what multicast is. Multicast is not sending to all the nodes in the network. It's only sending to few select nodes. So this is what is multicast routing and its difference with unicast and broadcast routing. Now let us see how multicast routing protocols can be classified. The word taxonomy also means classification. Multicast routing protocol can be broadly classified as tree-based multicast routing protocol and mesh-based multicast routing protocol. When it comes to tree-based multicast routing protocol, a tree structure is formed and then the receivers and the sender are identified and then routing takes place. A single path exists between the source node and the destination node. Since it's a tree-based structure, the communication is vertical. It is top-down. And then tree-based multicast routing protocol can be further be divided as source tree based multicast routing protocol and shared tree based multicast routing protocol. When it comes to source tree multicast routing protocol, every sender, every source will be maintaining its own tree. When it comes to shared tree, several sources, several senders can share the same tree structure to transfer data to the receivers. That is the difference between source tree and shared tree multicast routing protocol. Now, what is the advantage of tree-based routing protocol is that since it's a top-down structure, since it involves vertical communication, any top-down vertical communication will lead to very quick processing. So data can be transmitted from the sender node to the receiver nodes very quickly. And since only one single path exists between the source node and the receiver nodes, the amount of control messages that you need to send in the network is less. So less overhead or less complexity is involved. But one big drawback of your tree-based routing protocol is that if a link is lost, then the path also will be lost, then routing will not be possible. So for lightweight applications, tree-based routing protocols are used. For heavy weight applications, it's better to go for mesh-based routing protocol. So what is mesh-based multicast routing protocol is that a mesh kind of structure is first formulated, then the source nodes and the destination nodes are identified, and then the routes are discovered, and then routing takes place. The biggest advantage is that even if a link is lost, even if a single path is lost, you can always have another path via which you can route your data packets from the sender to the receiver. So it's highly robust, it's highly protected against link failures. The drawback is since it has more number of paths, obviously the number of control messages like root request, root reply, join request, join reply, all now the flags deciding what is the next stop, all for all this will be using a lot of control messages apart from data. So the amount of control messages that you need to use is actually more compared to tree based structure. At the same time, mesh based is more over a horizontal type of communication, so it'll be a little bit slower than tree based communication. The finest example of tree based multicast routing protocol is MAODV, which stands for Multicast On Demand Ad Hoc Distance Vector Protocol. Now it's an example of proactive routing protocol where the path is already decided before sending the data from the sender to the receiver. When it comes to example of multicast mesh based protocol, the finest example is ODMRP, which stands for On Demand Multicast Routing Protocol. It is an example of reactive protocol where only when the need arises, only if you want to send data, the route between the sender and the receiver is discovered and routing takes place. So major difference between tree based and mesh based is that in tree based you only have a single path between the source and the receiver nodes. When it comes to mesh based, you have more than one path between the sender node and the receiver nodes. Second major difference is your tree based mesh protocol is subjected to a lot of link failures, whereas a mesh based protocol is not subjected to it will not get affected, not that it will not face link failures, it will not get that much affected due to link failures. Speed wise, your tree based works much more quicker compared to mesh based network. Your tree based is further classified into source tree, where each and every source node will be having its own tree for sending to its receivers. When it comes to the second option, shared tree, all the senders will be using the same tree to send to their receiver nodes. The finest example of tree-based multicast routing protocol is your multicast on-demand ad hoc distance vector protocol, and the finest example of mesh-based multicast routing protocol is on-demand multicast routing protocol. Tree-based MODV is an example of proactive routing where the path is predetermined, it's already discovered, it is already ready, and then the sender and the receiver will be using the discovered path to send the data. Whereas when it comes to ODMRP, mesh-based routing protocol, it is reactive where you do not find the path before you send the data. Only when you want to send the data, a dynamic process is started to quickly find the route, and then data is sent between the source and the destination. Now let us see about tree-based multicast routing a little bit in detail. Let us consider the first diagram towards the left hand side. Normally the root node forms the sender node and the intermediate nodes or the leaf nodes form the receiver nodes. In this example, R1, R2, R3 all are intermediate nodes, but your leaf nodes also can be the receiver nodes. The communication is majorly from top to bottom. Only a single direction communication takes place from top to bottom. From bottom to top, communication will not take place in tree-based structure. Let's move on to your second diagram towards your right hand side. Now what happens is that this is an example of multicast ad hoc on demand tree structure. Towards the left hand side is a normal tree structure. Towards the right hand side, that is the second diagram, is an example of multicast ad hoc on demand distance vector tree structure. Now it involves several kinds of nodes. A node which wants to send data forms a tree structure on its own. Now this node which forms a new tree structure is what is called as group leader. In other words, it is also called as the source node. It is also called as the sender node. It is colored as dark gray color, and then you have dashed circular nodes. Now this represents receivers R1, R2, R3. Now they are called as multicast tree members. They are part of the main tree structure. Apart from these two nodes, you have another category of nodes colored in gray, light gray color. These nodes are not receivers nor they are senders. What is their role is they help the sender node to transmit packets to the receiver. In other words, now these light colored gray nodes help in forwarding the data packets from the root sender node to the lower level receiver nodes. Always communication in multicast ad hoc on demand distance vector protocol is downstream. Downstream means only from the root node communication can take place down, no upward communication can be done. So if you take S1, S is your, it represents your source. There's an arrow mark on top of S1. Now though you have an arrow mark on top of S1, no upstream communication, no upward communication can take place from the sender to the other gray color node that is there on the top. Okay, that is why red color into mark has been put. Always communication takes place in downstream manner, that is from the source on. You can just check the direction of the arrow mark, it is only downwards. So no upward communication takes place when it comes to your multicast ad hoc on demand distance vector routing protocol. Let us see how the paths are discovered using multicast ad hoc on demand distance vector protocol priorly. It is similar to the DSDV protocol where the path is predetermined, it is priorly identified, and then transmission takes place between the source and the receiver nodes. So the source node, which is represented in green color border shaded with blue, sends a control packet called root request represented as RREQ to all its immediate neighbors. Then the neighbors send the same root request packet RREQ to its own neighbors, and finally the root request packet reaches the destination. The destination chooses the shortest path between the source and the receiver, and the information is conveyed to the source node. So whenever the source wants to communicate with the receiver, the source node will use the shortest path that has been already been discovered. After a gap of every millisecond or seconds, depending upon the network type, the routes are updated so that there are no stale routes and the communication can take place effectively. Let us go into detail of mesh-based multicast routing protocol. In mesh-based network, the links between the nodes are bidirectional, and more number of paths exist between the same source and the receiver. Let us move on to the second diagram. These circular nodes represent member nodes, so they can either be sender nodes or receiver nodes. These square nodes represent non-member nodes. Now they are not either sender or receiver nodes, but they are called as forwarding group nodes. They help to transfer data packets from the sender to the receiver. Now let us consider the first diagram towards the right hand side. This is the snapshot of network topology at time t1. After say an example, say a gap of 10 minutes or 15 minutes, the network topology changes. That is the second diagram represented in the right hand side. Let us see what happens in on-demand multicast mesh-based routing protocol. The general structure looks like the first diagram represented in yellow color. You have multicast member nodes represented in gray color. It can either be sender nodes or receiver nodes. And then we have a category of nodes called FG nodes. Okay, they are called as forward group nodes, whose responsibility is transmitting data packets between the sender node and the receiver node. At the same time, also the intermediate nodes, FG nodes, forwarding nodes, can discover paths between the sender and the receiver and communicate it back to the sender node. So let's move on to the second example. There are two source nodes, S1, S2, colored in green color. Both the source nodes wants to communicate with both the receiver nodes R1, R2. Now S1 uses a join query represented using shaded arrow mark to discover the path. Now S1 transmits the join query packet to the immediate forward group node, and the forward group node transmits to its own neighbors of forward group nodes. When it comes to receiver 1, receiver 1 directly communicates to S1 what path has to be used between them. Whereas when it comes to receiver 2, R2 does not directly say the path that has to be used between both of them, whereas F2, the intermediate forward grouping node itself, communicates back what path has to be used between source 1 and receiver 2, without the need for the receiver 2 to communicate with S1. Whereas when it comes to S2, both receiver 1 and receiver 2 directly reply back to S2 regarding the path that has to be used between S2 and receiver 1 and S2 and receiver 2. So forward grouping nodes do not only forward data packets, they also help in discovering the path, plus they also communicate back to the source node regarding the path. The route is discovered only when the source node wants to communicate. No prior determination of route is done. Thank you.